Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you all for being here, taking precious moment of your time to share with us this afternoon. And I am delighted to be with you here in Tulsa. This is my second day of being a Tulsan, but I still have a different accent than most of you here. You need to give me time and maybe I will develop it. Today I want to talk about the history of the Islamic-Christian relationships and to share with you what we can do together as people who ultimately believe in God. There was an article that was written about Islam, and maybe this article what started the whole debate issue before. And incidentally, when the people from the magazine came to the mosque here to interview and to take pictures, it was the first time I was here and I was visiting Tulsa to give a sermon, and it happened on that day. Then, as you know the story, the article was published and there was questions posed in the article. One thing caught my attention in the article that says, if Jesus was with us, what would he do? There is a bracelet that says WWJD, what would Jesus do? And actually for a while I used to wear this bracelet as a Muslim. I used to wear the WWJD bracelet, what would Jesus do? And I thought about that, what would Jesus do if he was reading this article, if he was here with us? In my humble opinion, what he would do, he would say to us, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Jesus, peace be upon him, was a man who wanted the truth. He encouraged his disciples to live the truth, to be the truth, and to act like agents of truth. And he said to his disciples, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The truth will set us free from preconceived notions, from false ideas, from false understandings, or in that regard, misunderstanding. And the truth, loved ones, sometimes it's relative, and sometimes it is absolute. The absolute truth is something that we can all agree upon. For example, outside is cold today, and that is an absolute truth. It's not a relative truth, it's absolute truth that it is cold. But sometimes there is relative truth. That means what you believe in is true relative to your own understanding and the information that you have gathered. What another person believes in is true relative to his or her understanding and the information he was acquired to understand and to analyze. And there are many examples that we can share about relative truth. And they say beauty is in the eye of the behold, not the beer holder, the beholder. So there is relativity when it comes to truth. But nevertheless, once we know the truth and we understand each other, we will develop appreciation for one another. I may not agree with what you believe in as the truth, but at least I have an understanding of it. I see where you come from. I can identify with your objectives, and then that builds bridges of communication. This truth could be used as a springboard to develop relationships. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. It was alleged that in the 15-year history of Islam, there was never a good relationship between Islam and Christianity. And in my humble opinion, I do not think that is true statement. I refer to a book of history written by a historian by the name of Bamber Gasconi. He has written a book called Christianity, a History. In that book, he has a chapter about the people of the book. I would like to read to you from this chapter. I go to page 71. He is talking about a town or a village in Syria that remained to be Christian. The type of Christianity that they used to practice is different than the Christianity that was practiced by Constantinople, by the capital, by the mainstream. So maybe they were not born again, they were, even though at that time there was not the Reformation theology, but they had different form of Christianity. He said, in what other culture has a tiny village like this survived intact, keeping to its own ways entirely, surrounded by a rival religion for some 1200 years? It was the Quran which made it possible. Specifying that people of the book, Christians and history, must be allowed to worship God in their own manner. The Quran-based tolerance has been the norms in terms of Muslim attitudes to the two closely related religions. It's a modern aberration that the lethal mixtures of politics, fundamentalism, and terrorism associated in particular with Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden is at present distorting the image of Islam. So here we have a historian, a person who can speak about history with an authority. Many times when people make comment of history, they're not speaking about history with authority. And we have a historian. He's not a Muslim. I do not know if he's a Christian or not, but he is giving us an accurate view of history. Then he said, when the Crusaders reached Syria, they were horrified to find the Christians living peacefully under the Muslims. By that time, 4 centuries after the beginning of Islam, the Muslims had long been more civilized than the Western Christians. That was his opinion in his book, Christianity, a History. Loved ones, it's very important for us to realize that neither Christianity, nor Judaism, nor Islam is monolithic. With each one do exist the good and the bad and the ugly. But you find Clint Eastwood only in the United States. Clint Eastwood, you find it only in Hollywood, but in each religious group, you do find the good and the bad and the ugly. Neither Islam, nor Christianity, nor Judaism is monolithic, meaning neither one of them, all of the people who are Jews, or all of the people who are Christians, and all of the people who are Muslims, they identify with the same set of principles and doctrines. That is a fallacy to understand that. Within each religious groups do exist the good and the bad and the ugly. But I believe, and that is the hope, that within each religious group, the good are more in numbers than the bad and the ugly. But sometimes those who have agendas, political agendas, or distorted interpretations by which they outright contradict and compromise and confuse the truth that came to us from God, they are